So some things that good mentors are not: they are not insensitive, they are not impatient, they are not intolerant, they're broad-minded, they're not rigid about their opinions, they're not too busy to be consistent, they're not struggling with their own personal issues, and they're not volunteering for status or support, or because it looks good on a scholarship application or a job application. They're not promoting hidden agendas, and they're not taxi drivers, they're not loan arrangers, they're hopefully not naive or gullible, and they're not enablers. They also are not, as we said earlier, they're not friends and they're not family members. They're a special person in this mentee's life. So, what does the mentor get out of mentoring? What we've heard from the folks who've participated in our program is, first of all, the opportunities to learn about the social justice system, the criminal justice system, what kind of resources and services are available to help in the community, and how to get those. Also, how to help without fostering dependency. We really want to build strong people. We don't want them to continue depending on us. We want to gradually let them go, just as you would your child. And they also, mentors say that the experiences and the relationships that they have in the process are so meaningful that they really get a lot of personal satisfaction out of just knowing that they've really helped make someone's life better, and they've also helped make their community safer. They've gained a much better and a much broader understanding of social problems, and they've left a lasting legacy, something that will never go away. The difference you made in that person's life lasts forever. There is a process that a good mentoring program should put you through in order to determine that you are a good candidate for mentoring. First, there should be an application where you provide some information about yourself and your reason for wanting to be part of the program. There should be a background check, and it should show that you have been out of the criminal justice system and not in drug or alcohol treatment for at least 3 years. Some programs go a little longer than that. Then that's followed by an initial interview where you sit down and get to know the program manager. And if both of you feel like you are a good candidate, you go ahead with the training. Our program provides 5 to 6 hours of training to prepare folks for working with this somewhat challenging population. We do have a written mentor agreement that outlines the responsibilities of being a mentor. That does include submitting a monthly contact record, as well as a group sign-in sheet if you participate in group mentoring sessions. And also there may at times be incentives or stipends available to help incur any costs that are incurred as a result of serving as a mentor. Our guidelines in our program are that you communicate with your mentee at least once a week and 4 to 6 hours per month, that you do that for 1 month before release if possible, and for 6 to 12 months after release. After that time, it's up to the mentor and the mentee whether they continue that relationship, but it is a good practice to check in with them maybe monthly, just to make sure that they're on track and to provide a little extra support if needed. Safety always must be first in any program, but especially in our program. If you come if you show up for an appointment with a mentee and find that they are under the influence of drugs or alcohol, or are somehow inhibited in some way, it's perfectly okay to, and actually very important, to reschedule that meeting. If they need help right away, get them that help, and seek support from the program manager or the other professionals as needed, but definitely do not continue that appointment while they're under the influence. Also, it's very important to discuss that situation with the program manager very soon, and also probably with the probation or parole folks. The program manager could probably handle that, But it would probably be better if you communicated with them directly, because they will want your side of that story. So if you need referrals for substance abuse assessment, the government has a wonderful website. It's the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. They have a treatment locator on their website, which is www.samhsa.gov, or you can call 1-800-662-HELP, 800-662-HELP, to find treatment services in your area. Some criminal type thinking errors that you probably will run into, and you'll probably find them a little challenging. A lot of times these folks will have what we call closed channel thinking. It's that my way or the highway. This is the way I do it, and I'm really not interested in changing that. Sometimes victim statements. They see themselves as the victim. They've been mistreated. Sometimes fearlessness, and a lot of times intimidation of others. That usually is a kind of a front that that you'll sense in the beginning, but as that trust builds, it quickly dissolves, and you will see more than likely a very much different person under that facade. A lot of times they portray themselves as thinking that they're good enough, that they really don't need to change. They often have an entitlement type attitude. They think that society has wronged them and therefore owes them something. Sometimes they just don't want to make the effort, maybe because they don't believe they can. Maybe they don't have the confidence, but they'll seem to a lot of times be unmotivated to find jobs, especially. Sometimes they rely too much on family members, especially if that enabler is there for them. And they are a lot of times what we would consider irresponsible. So that's okay. If they didn't have those behaviors, they wouldn't need us. And our job is to gradually introduce them to healthier ways of thinking. Victims' issues. So important to always remember that someone has been probably the victim of this person's crime. And because of that, there may be restrictions placed on them about where they go, who they see. It's very important for mentors to be aware of those court orders against, protection orders against them communicating with certain people. Also, they might not be allowed to go near schools or churches, things like that. Sex offenders and some serious drug offenders have those restrictions. So mentors really need to communicate, again, with the parole and probation officer and with the program manager and have that information ahead of time. Otherwise, they might unknowingly actually encourage connecting with someone that, that the court has forbid them to be with. For more information about victims' issues, you can contact your local county attorney's office. They have a mentor victim services coordinator. And also the State Department of Corrections will have someone that is charged with taking care of those victims and informing people about the issues. Domestic violence a lot of times kind of goes hand in hand with substance abuse. If you see your mentee forming relationships very quickly and very intensely, if they seem to be unwilling or unable to really define that relationship or put a label on it, they don't call that person their girlfriend or their fiancé, it can be kind of obvious that they're kind of using the person, or they may be using each other for convenience. A lot of times it's easy for them to slip into some really serious relationships very quickly. And a lot of times those aren't the healthiest relationships. They cause problems, emotional stress, financial. They usually are entered into as a source of financial support. And in the end, it ends up being very traumatic and actually can be very detrimental. when they have to try to back out of those relationships. So if you see extreme mood swings, anger management issues, blaming the partner, and especially if you see a partner that seems to be intimidated or to check often for that person's approval, be aware that there very well might be domestic violence issues going on, and we can find sources of support for that person to help them address those issues in the community. It's very important to point them to the people who can help with their relationship issues. Oh, signs of mental illness. You may notice things like confused thinking, extreme mood swings, excessive worry, social withdrawal, strong anger, delusions, hallucinations. Those are serious mental health issues. It's not usually dangerous. Mostly it's just a little intimidating. So there are professionals who can help with those things. Again, very important to communicate with the program manager, with the parole and probation folks, and to seek sources of services for these people. A lot of times they are there because they haven't been able to access services in the past. So by helping them, taking them to the mental health agency, the area mental health center, or even the hospital if it's an emergency situation, you really are doing them a huge favor. They a lot of times won't want that help. Sometimes it actually seems to threaten the trust and the relationship that you've built with that person. But our experience has been that once they get through the treatment and they are back on medication and they're feeling better, they are very grateful, and they're also very much healthier and safer for the community. So you really are doing not just them a good turn, but also the community. It'll be a safer place to live for all of us. Other things that really can cause problems are substance abuse. It's a big one. Irritability and loss of interest in things that should be interesting to them, problems concentrating, sleeping, not sleeping, and then persistent feelings of sadness, helplessness can be serious indicators of depression and drug and alcohol abuse. If you suspect that the person might be having suicidal thoughts, it's very important to ask that question. It's okay to just come right out and say, have you thought about killing yourself? And if you have, if they answer that they have, ask them if they have a plan in place. If they do, don't leave that person. Get them to a mental health professional immediately, and if those aren't available, take them to the emergency room. You may save their life. If you'd like more information about mentoring and specifically about reentry mentoring, I hope that you'll call me at the Southwest Kansas Regional Prevention Center, Garden City Community College. The number is 620-276-9648, or you can email me at becky.seedsofhope@gmail.com. Thank you.